We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. Today is Thursday, May the 5th. We're here at Morgan State University in the School of Political Science with Professor Getachew Metaferia. Hello, sir. How are you today?
How are you doing?
Good. Since our last interview, Osama Bin Laden was killed by the U.S. government. Your thoughts?
Uh, that's a good surprise because for the last more or less 50 years there had been a manhunt to get hold of Osama bin Laden, who is the head of the Al Qaeda and responsible for the 9/11 killings, unfortunately, of about 3,000 people in New York, in Washington D.C., and in Pennsylvania. So that was a good news.
This Osama incident, one, let's go back to the night of the announcement by the president, where people, Americans, flocked to the White House, flocked to Ground Zero in New York City, and literally cheered.
I think that was good. That basically uplifts the psyche of the American public. Over the last 50 years or so, there was a kind of depression, national depression, so to say, simply because after the 9/11 episode incident, Americans had been worried.
Not
What
wanting to travel to places in the Middle East,
exactly. So
Africa.
everything seemed to be security. Condition was very strict at the airports, and then everybody was suspect, and so that was a good news. And I think it was a very good psychological uplifting for the American people, and that was excellent.
One point of contention is whether or not the president ought put out photographs of the shot Bin Laden. Bin Laden with his head with a bullet or bullets in it. Should the president, he's decided not to put those pictures out there. Remember with Uday and Qusay, if I'm pronouncing their names correctly,
That's correct.
Saddam Hussein's
Children,
sons. I thought it was inappropriate, but nonetheless, the Western media put the dead photographs of the otherwise naked bodies out there, and I know that is disrespectful to Islamic law.
I understand, and I share the concern of the president. Putting out there the picture of Osama bin Laden, disfigured face, and if that comes out, it might instigate his followers to revenge and again attack the United States. And at the same time, also there is this, as a political scientist, there is this conspiracy theorists. Basically, so as those people who say that Osama bin Laden did not die. He was not killed by the United States. Maybe he's alive. If he was killed, where is the exhibit? Where is the picture? Maybe the White House, according to these conspiracy theories, maybe the White House concocted this thing in order for the president to be re-elected. So there have been a lot of conspiracy theories, but I share his concern that showing the picture, a disfigured picture of Osama bin Laden might instigate some people to react and to take action, vengeance against American citizens and American interests here and abroad.
One of the conspiracy theories floating around is that Osama had been killed sometime before.
That's also a possibility because they don't see the evidence. They have not seen the evidence. The White House did not show the evidence, produce the evidence to the public.
Maybe
So
the White House was busy producing the Obama birth certificate.
maybe so, but again, this came after that. The White House is actually showing the picture in a small way, in a small way. But again,
Respectful.
respectfully, and it's not it's a gruesome thing, to show disrespecting the dead. But again, this person has killed a lot of people. He deserves to die. But again, showing that gruesome probably will anger his followers and attack the American interests. That's a good decision that the president is making.
The president said that upon finding out that Osama was in Abbottabad, should we be surprised that he was in fact in Pakistan in an urban, highly populated area? Should we be surprised?
Yes, yes, indeed. Abbottabad is just a stone throw away from the military academy of Pakistan, and not far away from the nuclear site. So, staying there for the last 5 years or 6 years without the Pakistani intelligence and knowing it, that is a surprise. That's a surprise. So we were hunting for him in the mountains of Afghanistan, in the border areas of Afghanistan and Pakistan, but sitting in a city less than 50 miles from the capital city of Pakistan, that's a surprise. That's a surprise.
Al-Qaeda, should we expect them to be reinvigorated, re-energized, and retaliate?
It depends. The
has their momentum been crushed with the passing of the killing of Osama bin Laden?
It's crushed, but again, we don't know. There might be some followers still who would like to revenge and for the death of Osama bin Laden. And what we can say, however, that with the uprising in the Arab world, I don't think the Arab young Muslim people throughout the world and in the Arab world specifically would like to change government through force. What they are doing now, this democracy movement, the public people mass uprising, basically takes away the equation from Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda wants to change regimes by fighting, by killing, by terrorizing people. But again, here there is a young people trying to change government through peaceful demonstration and create a democratic and a pluralist society. So
when you think of U.S. foreign policy under the George Walker Bush administration, every other word that came out of the White House seemed to have terror beside it.
War on terror.
Well, with this president, Barack Obama, I don't hear the same emphasis on the fear of terrorism that I did in the George W. Bush administration. Is there any difference between the U.S. foreign policy under George Bush versus Barack Obama?
Well, Barack Obama has to close a chapter of war on terror. And of course, the United States has to be on guard because things have not settled yet. But Barack Obama has to close the chapter on war on terror and build the foreign policy on a different level, such as, for example, helping build democracy in other countries. Those countries who support the United States and who claim to support the United States in the war on terror, most of these people like, for example, leaders in Yemen, they also terrorize their own people. So the American foreign policy needs to be rearranged in such a way that the foreign policy should be supporting the public, the people, supporting states that help try to build up a pluralist society and a democratic society. That's one thing. Another thing is that the Obama administration need to look what's going on in Asia, in China and in India. While United States foreign policy focus is on war on terror, China, India are surpassing United States in economy. So that has to be addressed because the United States has been overstretched. $1 trillion to fight, geared towards war on terrorism. That is what we have spent. About 150,000 people were killed. So about $75 billion a year on security. So that has to be changed, and the money has to be rearranged, or rather reoriented. and United States has to look what's going on in Asia and try to capture its status in the world.
What, and I'll end with this. When you look at what has happened to the United States in some 200 brief years as a country, and now during our last interview we spoke about China and India increasing their need for oil, considering that America currently uses 1/4 of the world's oil supply. As capitalism, as free trade and free market economy touches China, touches economy, India, as they are growing, as their economies are growing, what's down the road for China and India? I mean, if they're following the capitalistic model, will they end up with some of the same challenges that we have here in the United States, i.e. debt?
Definitely. One major thing in this equation is that India, when compared to China, is a democratic society, the largest democracy in the world, whereas China is still controlled and run by the Communist Party of China. So the economy is liberalized, but democracy is not in the scene. So that's a problem. So people are challenging in, for example, in minority areas in China. China is controlled by 95% population Han ethnic. And the rest, the minority ethnics, about 50 of them, including the people in the mountains who are trying to regain their independence. And the Muslims are also challenging the central government. Tibet, for example, the people in the mountain, what I'm calling basically are Tibet, who believe that, some of them believe that they have been conquered and occupied by China. So they are trying to regain their independence. So there are a lot of uprising in China. And there is also, unemployment is also in the scene in China. And that's why China is sending some of its workforce overseas. When it has, for example, builds roads in Africa, or introduces some development program in Africa, it is run by the Chinese laborers.
So at one point they were seemingly different than the colonists, the colonialists from Europe that came there back during, that ended with the independence movement beginning with Ghana back in the 60s. Where is it today?
Oh, well, actually, some people argue that China is a new colonial power. It's not. All the colonial device was to get hold of the land and control, colonize.
So they're not being as altruistic and as noble as we once thought.
Not at all. Not at all. They do have their national interest at heart, at the expense of the national interests of other countries, in collaboration with dictators who want to stay in power, using China's vote in the Security Council, using China's surplus money that is being diverted to some of these leaders who are basically using the money and building up their own personal bank account and coffers and stuff like that.
Well, it's truly a pleasure to talk with you. This is about our third interview with you, and we certainly hope that we are doing justice to the School of Political Science here at Morgan State University, to your colleagues, and to the many students here studying. This is a great place to study political science, no doubt.
Definitely, definitely. Mr. Glover, I thank you very much on behalf of our department and on behalf of our School of Liberal Arts. Thank you very much, and you are part of this department, this university. You are a product of this university, and thank you much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Dr. Metaferia. Getachew Metaferia, Professor, Political Science, Morgan State University here in the city of Baltimore. Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
All the best.